Hello, everybody, and good evening. I'm hoping that in good faith that all of the presentations are going very well tonight. I wish that I could be in everyone's company and presence. However, though, we just started a new semester at Bryan and Stratton College last Wednesday, and tonight, even as the presentations are going forth, happens to be the first night of a business law and ethics class that I'm going to be teaching over at the Glendale campus, which happens to be at the same time that we're doing these presentations. So I do greatly apologize to everyone for not being present there physically, but I am truly there in spirit, and I just want to go forth and I want to present what I researched on regarding college recruiting and training. And this happens to be centered around Bryan and Stratton College, and I could say this has been a rather enlightening assignment in terms of the research and everything that's been done, the different components that were completed over the last few weeks. So I just want to take everybody briefly because what I made the decision to do is to do a PowerPoint and to do a YouTube video. I could have recorded by audio over the PowerPoint slides, but I chose to do a YouTube video instead. Now, hopefully, you will be able to see both projected on the screen, both the YouTube and the PowerPoint. If not, then the YouTube video could at least be playing while the PowerPoint is in presentation mode and you're viewing the slides. So let's get started with just a table of contents and what we're going to look into concerning this program. We're going to look at the introduction first. Then we're going to go through the context. We're going to look at the basis of support following the context. We're going to look at the program goals and objectives, the instructional plans, as well as the transfer of learning plan, followed by the evaluation plan. We're going to look at what I came up with concerning formats, schedules, and also staffing for this 3-day training program, as well as the budget to follow that up with a strategic marketing plan. And then we will wrap it up with a summary of the intent and purpose of the program and what I'm endeavoring here to happen within the upcoming years here at Bryan and Stratton College. So let's look at the introduction first. And I just kind of want to start really with the mission statement of the college to really get the framework and the foundation in terms of what Bryan and Stratton College is all about. So the mission statement is that Bryan and Stratton College offers a personalized career education and experience leading to high-demand professions so that graduates are prepared for their careers as well as their life pursuits. This is our mission statement. At Bryan and Stratton College, we believe that life is a series of questions, and it's our job to prepare students for every one of them, every twist and every turn, as well as every opportunity and every setback. Every step of the way, our students come from many different backgrounds, but they all share one thing in common, that is desire to change for the future. That's pretty much our mission statement here at the college. I want to follow that up with an initiative and program that we actually proposed about 2 years ago. This is really going into the third year of fruition, the program itself, and it's called Career Life Prep. Okay, so briefly, let me just explain what Career Life Prep is. With the program, the education that students get from our college, it comes with a unique set of experiences that helps prepare students at every step of their academic journey, both while in college and after graduation, so that they are ready for both their careers as well as their lives outside of the classroom. The student is not doing it along with Career Life Prep. I want to say that scaffolding is a very important, very crucial step regarding our assignments for all of our courses that are connected to our program when it comes to Career Life Prep. So with the scaffolding process, the writing is emphasized within our face-to-face classroom and environment. There is emphasis that's really placed on the writing critique, the mechanics, as well as how to thoroughly research and get proper content in order to put together a very proficient essay or a proficient paper. So really, that's one of the things that we do with Career Life Prep, but we also emphasize within Career Life Prep reading on top of writing, as well as mathematics. So we're looking at the foundation of what individuals, students need to go through. How do they get college ready in so many words? And that's really our foundations in prep. That's really our foundation for Career Life Prep. Moving on from that, since I just briefly described Career Life Prep, I want to talk about the partner of today's employers. So for the most part, when it comes to that, here at the college, and this is really connected, of course, to our mission statement as well as our Career Life Prep program, we do partner with today's employers to find out what they want and what they're looking for within employees. So yes, you could say that in so many words, we are a 2 to 4 year career college. However, though, we're looking to make a transition to become more of a traditional college as opposed to when we were founded back in 1854 on the basis of career. And that's the reason, the purpose for me putting together this presentation when it comes down to recruiting. We give our students the knowledge by developing courses around career-specific competencies, as well as the essential workplace skills to provide a competitive advantage within the workplace. Our degree programs do represent career options our students are interested in, and is ranging from accountants to business managers to nurses and paralegals. So yes, we have criminal justice programs, nursing programs, as well as business programs. And also we have healthcare administration and also hospitality management programs here at the college. So the most part of that is leading on to the next point would be career services. And you're going to hear later on this presentation what recruiters need to do in order to work more cohesively with our career services teams. The career services team at Bryant and Stratton College, for the most part, what they do is they offer students support in preparing for the job search with the latest strategies in finding a job, as well as a resume review, interview preparation, and portfolio development to become not only a college graduate, but whatever their career goals may be. All right, so that career services representative actually creates the bridge from graduation going into the employment field and finding gainful employment and helping the student pretty much market themselves to potential prospects when it comes down to employers. So let's really get into the context. And again, that's kind of focused more around our career life prep, but more so within this, we have some problems that we need to identify, which has really impacted our recruiting here within the Wisconsin market. So career life prep, of course, is the process, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, of scaffolding all major assignments within all the courses at the college. Students do develop an e-portfolio where they do submit their best work or their final projects that are connected to their program. So kind of very similar to a capstone. That's how e-portfolio works. And it is part of the Blackboard course layout. That's the learning management system that we actually use to facilitate all our courses at Bryant and Stratton College. Now, let's get to the problem that's really identified when it comes to retention rates. What we have is we have a poor retention and we have a poor turnover rate among the student body here within the Wisconsin market of the college. The problem stimulates within the recruiting process. Students are being admitted without having a concrete understanding of financial aid matters, along with not processing the essential tools of college readiness as well as academic literacy. One of the things that we focus primarily on is the adult learner, all right? And the adult learner is not so much connected to the problem, but we want to come up with a solution in terms of how do we reach out to the adult learner. And what we need is a rehabilitation program, and a recruiter needs to have knowledge of that. to be able to present that to prospects that are looking to attend a college that happen to be adult learners. The adult learner is part of either a rehabilitation program that may require for them to take college courses at an institution that will accept them through the admission process, or it could be a stipulation within probation given by a judge as part of a legal matter or trouble that the adult has encountered. Okay, this is what's really impacted the retention numbers, because we're getting individuals that are not college ready and really have no knowledge, of how to interact within a college environment. The college also does recruit individuals through advertisings and partnerships within the Milwaukee County area, but improvements could be made within that area, and I'm going to propose that a little bit later within the marketing plan. The other byproduct of this happens to be the lack of directives, post-high school plans of juniors and seniors. That's going to be our next point. So we have juniors and seniors that we currently do recruit. That's part of Milwaukee Public Schools. They may not have clear directives in terms of their post-high school plans, which does pose a problem. Having the doubt and the lack of certainty in terms of what program that individual or that student is going to enter in. For the most part, those students that we've reached out to are doubting whether or not they want to attend college. Do they want to pursue an advanced degree? That's another problem that we've actually encountered as well. So pretty much the problem at hand is decentralization of recruiting within Milwaukee Public Schools. And it has to be a good portion of schools within MPS that are scoring below state standards in terms of academic performance, along with the graduation rates. So schools within MPS, okay, when we look at the district itself, that's not really meeting the areas of academic performance according to the state standards here in Wisconsin, and also the graduation rates, the percentage being low in a lot of the high schools as well. So here is my proposal here. And I think this is the meat and the gravy that we're about ready to get into in so many words when it comes to this. And this is part of our basis of support. So what we're endeavoring to do, we're endeavoring to initialize a 3-day training program. And maybe at the very beginning of this presentation, I should have mentioned that Bryan and Stratton College here in the Wisconsin market, within the Wisconsin market, has actually branched out in the area of athletics. So we have girls and a boys basketball team, well, men's and women's, I should say, as well as a golf team and a softball team. So we're looking to really expand and compete within the NJCAA, which is the junior to the NCAA when it comes to athletics. All right, so we really have to focus in two areas here. We have to focus on academics as well as athletics. And so this is what we're going to look further into when it comes to looking into the program and consuming it and digesting it. So here's a solution. The solution would be, again, to initialize first a 3-day training program for recruiters at Bryan and Stratton College within the Wisconsin market. Now, we also have other campuses in Ohio, New York, and Virginia. And what we will want to do is welcome those recruiters from those markets to come and also be a part of this 3-day program. The 3-day session will be held at the Wauwatosa campus in the market. Also, it will consist of the first day of being a session where recruiters will address the pros and cons of their positions, as well as UW recruiters that we're going to be bringing in that will introduce the UW Flex program, which has been a very effective model for recruiting. And I'm going to get into the UW Flex program in a little bit here and give some details in terms of how effective that's been. So strategy-wise, we have to look at a SWOT analysis that needs to be done, addressing the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats that are related to the recruiters within their position and the market that they're actually engaging in. We want to give also within this time, this 3-day session, time for Q&As and for large and small groups to come and interact with one another. And how do we deal with stress management? How do we deal with conflict resolution? How do we look into more effective recruiting procedures? So, for the most part, we are going to be definitely bringing in recruiters from 2 UW schools in particular, this being the first year really of the program, from UW-Madison as well as UW-Milwaukee. And they will be asked to offer their models of recruiting, which happens to be the UW Flex program that they're going to use as a model in terms of doing that. Modifications and revisions as well. We're going to look into how that can be made within the current model. And that's when we're going to definitely bring in the recruiters from the other markets, well, primarily from New York, that will come and they will speak on a contingency plan that will go through the year 2021 in terms of how we can better our recruiting procedures and what do we project may occur within the next 3 years. We also definitely want to, within this time period, begin to establish new partnerships and also strengthen an external support system. That means sponsors that are outside of Bryant and Stratton, that are representatives of other schools, as well as companies. We definitely want to reach out to them for more support, as well as sponsorship where there's some sort of partnership that we're engaging in the area of business, but then also that they will be compelled to maybe give charitable contributions to the college. So let's look at the program goals and objectives here. So the goals will be to increase the retention of the student body again within the Wisconsin market, as well as to revise strategies of recruiting procedures and methods, making Bryant and Stratton College within the Wisconsin market more appealing and to student prospects. We will also want to add on to the process of the athletic recruiting through the NJCAA by reviewing methods and strategies used by UW schools as well as other Big Ten recruiting throughout NCAA Division I. I want to make a note here, okay, that's a goal that's going to go beyond the first year when it comes to looking at models that are connected with other Big Ten schools when it comes to recruiting. We're looking at the objectives to be fulfilled here in terms of having recruiters analyze the UW Flex model and also to take away the concepts of effective, of what's effective with those models and what's also been proven to have a high retention base. We also want to look at recruiters from UW schools that will facilitate on marketing strategies as well as share their models. And then also we want to look at the UW schools again when it comes to methods of recruiting and how it will come in play to facilitate a session on their recruiting methods. All this is going to be done within the 3-day session. So let's look at the instructional design plan of this session, of this 3-day session. So what we're looking at here, we're looking, of course, at the date and time frame of 3 days. We're looking at a session titled How to Establish the Bridge and Narrow the Gap Between Recruiters and College Career Services. That will be one of the session titles that we'll be engaging in. And the presenters are going to be designated recruiters from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee as well as Madison. Brief description will be that the learning session will be lectures given, informational sessions by recruiters from the UW schools of Milwaukee and Madison on how to establish a strong acumen with College Career Services on campus. Also, illustrations will be given from the UW Flex program on how to establish this initiative. So the participants will be those recruiters that will begin to break down the current model of UW recruiting procedures through the UW Flex program and its athletics. The content heading would be how to present the UW Flex program model and information provided through UW-Madison and Milwaukee Athletics. Key points would be within this Flex model is to have a set on the basis of direct assessment, competency base that will support non-traditional students. So the athletics program will be discussed on how to deal with student enrollment. How do we approach that, as well as the campus community? What about alumni engagement? Okay, how do we get them involved? What about the marketing aspect of brand loyalty? How do we incorporate that as well, too, when it comes to revising the methods of recruiting, as well as fundraising and corporate support that will also play a vital role. We will definitely be using techniques of small and large breakout group sessions that will be effective with this process. And then we will have question and answers periods, or a Q&A session, So the length of time that I'm looking for each session will be approximately anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, depending on the actual day of the session. So we want to make sure as well, too, that we are also analyzing we're analyzing the current models of Bryant and Stratton within this process of recruiting through academics and athletics. We want to look at the case scenarios they're adapting from the UW Flex model, and also the athletic procedures that might be beneficial. Now, depending on the number of recruiters, okay, because we don't have a head count yet until we open up registration, the groups of 3 can work in actual teams within small groups to analyze the case scenarios. So that small group will lead into a large group where everybody meets as a whole, and we can discuss things in their entirety, meaning information that we did take away or bring away from the small groups. So I'm looking, again, anywhere from an hour to 2 hours for each session. Moving on here, pretty much to just give a breakdown, I'm going to summarize the instructional design plan. So for instructors, okay, we're looking at a PowerPoint presentation that they'll use, also a critique form. We're also looking at notes for instructors regarding Bryant and Stratton and their recruitment procedures on non-traditional students and athletes. The main arrangements will be the main meeting convention room on the Bryant and Stratton Wauwatosa campus. We do have a big convention room where normally we do partition it off, but we can actually take the dividers and we can move the dividers back. And it's a convention room that could probably maybe hold comfortably approximately anywhere from 300 to 400. We will also need chairs and tables within the convention room. And it would be also essential to have a microphone as well as a podium and a projector screen that's up in front for the instructors. So for the participants, we definitely want handouts of the UW Flex as well as the athletic models. We're looking at case scenario handouts, that we can use within the small groups. We definitely want the itinerary at the time of registration to be handed out, as well as pens and note tablets. Of course, we definitely want chairs and tables that are going to be facing the front of the convention room, and also internet connection for laptops or electronic tablet devices. So the transfer of learning plans, I just kind of want to give some information briefly here regarding the UW Flex program. So details regarding the UW Flex or Flexible Option Program is that it grew 42% back in the year 2017 to a total of 1,300 students. The UW Extension Provost and Vice Chancellor, who happens to be Aaron Brower, as part of an update to the regents on the program, actually reported the statistics in terms of how the UW Flex program grew. So the UW Flex program is an innovative direct assessment, competency-based approach program that supports non-traditional adult students. It currently includes 5 degree programs and 3 certificates within the UW system. Now, all of the programs are partnerships between the UW Extension as well as the UW campus. Now, information regarding UW athletics is that as part of its annual Division I NCAA report to the board, and this happens to be reported from UW Milwaukee from the athletic director, who happens to be Amanda Braun, it was told that the Panthers had some significant athletic successes this year, going back to 2017, including the women's basketball team tying the program record for victories, but then also looking significantly upon the athletics here, the student athletes posted 33 consecutive semesters with a 3.0 or higher GPA through UW athletics. And that actually increased fundraising by 257% over the past 4 years. All right, so there's some effectiveness with the UW Flex program as well as the athletic programs that UW has actually administered. And that's going back reportedly from 2014 up to the previous year, which happens to be 2017. So now one of the things that we need to keep in mind, the institutional outcomes of Bryan and Stratton as well, too, and how are we going to incorporate this? We got to look at information literacy and communication, relational learning, thinking abilities, quantitative and scientific reasoning, as well as community and career. Those are institutional outcomes that are connected with our college. And the purpose of that, would be to utilize appropriate current technology and resources to transfer knowledge, skills, and behaviors that's acquired by formal and informal learning, as well as employ strategies for reflection on learning and practice in order to adjust learning processes for continual improvement. We also have to look at how the methods of inquiry and mathematical reasoning are used to form conclusions and make decisions, as well as the participation in social learning and professional communities for personal career and growth. Those are the programs that we have to keep in mind when it comes to looking at the institutional outcomes of our college. So when it comes to the 3 strategies, we need to keep in mind with that mentoring as well as networking is really an important part of our strategy. So mentoring with the transfer of learning would be the process of where the recruiters and participants can learn from the recruiters who are giving the actual instruction. We also have to look at networking as well, too. Networking will help to strengthen the bonds internally among recruiters, as well as student prospects and business partners. And then the training program will conclude with a mass networking mixer on the final day that will take place at the college. So moving on here to the evaluation plans. So if we look at this slide here, some things to point out here are the elements and how is that going to be evaluated. So, for example, the UW Flex program model information that's provided through UW Milwaukee Athletics. How are we going to evaluate that? We'll do that through the retention rates that's based on the UW Flex program, and how does it reflect student achievement in academics. We also have to look at the current model of UW recruiting procedures through the UW Flex program and through athletics. And how does the recruiting appeal to prep school athletes throughout the country? Also looking at the UW Flex model as the basis of direct assessment, as well as the athletics program. We'll have athletic boosters to evaluate the assessment and assist in the building of the brand for the college to appeal to new sponsors. We also have to look at the Bryan and Stratton models of recruiting through academics and athletics. And again, we'll have recruiters from Virginia, Ohio, and New York that will come in and evaluate the current academic and athletic recruiting models. We also have a look at case scenarios, and how we'll evaluate that is we'll rely on evaluating information through research to determine the effectiveness of the UW Flex model. And then we'll look at our large group and small group discussions along with the lecture that will give a question and answer period. The purpose of that will be the group discussions should be based within the training to keep recruiter participants actively engaged. So the question and answers will be used as a major tool to evaluate within the training session. I'm looking at my time here and I'm realizing that I'm at 30 minutes. And I wished again that I was actually standing before the class, because I think I would be able to be a little bit more timely and I would be able to elaborate a little bit more thoroughly in terms of all the information that I did gather together within this proposal. So moving on to formats, schedules, as well as staff, pretty much this is what day 1, day 2, and day 3 will look at. This is what it will look like, pardon me. As we're looking at the scheduling and the formatting as well as the staffing. The budget items, and I kind of want to emphasize the budget items here, and that $160,000 for learning management system is already covered by the college. So I had to list that as an expense. So we're looking at personnel, external staff, materials, technical support, as well as equipment, along with travel and facilities, because food will be provided all 3 days, of course, with the final day being a networking mixer. We need supplies. And so we're looking at, this is going to be, it's pretty economical to put this 3-day session together. The total cost is going to be roughly a little less than $2,900. I want to include, as we're looking at the PowerPoint in the second slide for the budget items, that the indirect costs, okay, that's already paid and covered by the institution. So that $169,000 that you see is already paid and covered, and we do not have to put together fundraising efforts in terms of trying to raise money to cover that cost in order for the training session to carry forth. So a little less than $2,900 will be the cost. So with that, I want to kind of elaborate a little bit that the contingency plan, if we need to cut costs, is that the cost can be reduced by using 1 microphone instead of 2. And that would reduce the price of the microphone purchase to $219. For personnel, there may be a need for other staff. However, the recruiters are receiving the training and they can help as assistants if needed. So if we eliminate the personnel cost, that would eliminate the expense of $250 that we have in the budget and contingency plans. So without these 2 expenses, the training could still go forth and have an impact within the 3 days. The indirect costs are already paid for, as I emphasized a little bit earlier, by Bryan and Stratton College. And it's not cost that we would have to conduct and put together a fundraising effort for. So when it comes to fundraising efforts, taking into consideration that the expenses are low in terms of launching this training program, there could be one fundraising effort to offset the cost. So here's the proposal for fundraising. Bryan and Stratton College, okay, we have a hospitality and management program. Within this program, the students could engage on culinary. So they can put together a fundraising drive selling cookies or some type of food to raise funds if needed, to be applied towards the expenses of the training program. That's if we needed to carry forth the contingency of doing any type of fundraising effort. So moving on to marketing, we have to look at the strategies. Of course, this is centralized around the Wisconsin market. Athletic crew revisions will be utilized based on NJCAA as well as NCAA methods. Bryan and Stratton is part of the NJCAA, and of course the UW schools are part of the NCAA Division I. For marketing strategies, okay, we could use Facebook pages that are created by Bryan and Stratton College to promote the idea of fundraising if needed. And we could connect that Facebook page through the hospitality and management program. That's if we make the decision to carry forth any type of fundraising efforts to raise money. We also could rely on athletic boosters to coordinate fundraising events throughout the Wisconsin market in order to raise additional funds for advertising as well. So the advertising, would be radio, television advertisements, as well as public service announcements. The public services announced now the PSAs, the public service announcements, would not have to be paid for. Those would be volunteer ads, and we can run those through radio and television. But we will want to pay for some sort of radio and TV spot to run on a continuous rotation at a radio as well as a TV station. So we definitely want to do both. So in the long run, I really do believe that the fundraising efforts, could come into play when it comes to covering the cost of radio and television commercial advertising. And then also, most of all, what we want to do before we even make the decision to begin to put together this training program is that we want to conduct a SWOT analysis measuring the strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats that's based on the research of other colleges that have organized very similar training programs that are centered around faculty, especially recruiters. So the summary, these are the outcomes, and hopefully this is what we're hoping for as a result, that this proposal will be accepted, is that looking beyond to the year 2019, 2020, and 2021, is that this training program will become annual for recruiters. So we will do it once a year. What we would like to do for the upcoming year is we would like to bring in recruiters from other schools throughout the country. We like to keep it within the Big Ten Conference if possible. So some schools to take into consideration in terms of bringing in recruiters for upcoming years would happen to be Michigan, Iowa, Minnesota, and Ohio State, and also the University of Illinois. We're hoping that retention rates will show a positive data within the Wisconsin market as a result of this training. And then once we've taken this and we've restructured our methods of recruiting as well as athletics for Bryant and Stratton, we're hoping, of course, that we'll begin to see a positive slope and increase when it comes to our retention rates. And then also, finally, Bryant and Stratton College, we're hoping that the college will become a top-tier college within the country for students as well as athletes. So this is what we're hoping as a result of the first year of the program, the outcomes, that it turns out to be a success, so that in upcoming years we can add on to the program and we can even broaden the perspectives of who we bring in when it comes to recruiting training. Thank you very much, everybody, for this presentation. I did go a little bit over time. I actually did time myself. It's a little less than 40 minutes. Hoping that everybody does a good job on their presentations tonight. I wish I was there for a Q&A, a question or answer. If you would like to email me, you can at javier.black@wlc.edu if you have any questions regarding this program. Thank you, Ron, for being understanding and giving me this opportunity, everyone, and you have a blessed night. Thank you.